And we come now to 0 hour 30 Universal Time. In the news at this hour, Iraqi police say at least 6 people have died in a car bombing near a Shiite Muslim religious center south of the capital, Baghdad. Police say the attack on Saturday happened in the mostly Shiite town of Musayyib. At least 14 other people were wounded in the explosion. On Friday, bombers killed 79 people at a Shiite Muslim religious center in the capital. American officials have called for calm among all rebel groups in Iraq. Also in Iraq, the United States military says a Marine has died of wounds from an attack on Friday north of Baghdad. The Foreign Secretary of India has said relations with the United States could be harmed if Congress does not approve a nuclear deal with India. President Bush and Indian Prime Minister Manmohan Singh signed the agreement last month. The deal would permit the United States to share nuclear technology with India. America currently is banned from doing so because India has refused to sign the treaty aimed at stopping the spread of nuclear weapons. Earlier this week, Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice called on Congress to approve the agreement. She said it would strengthen efforts to stop nuclear weapons from spreading. Egyptian President Hosni Mubarak says Iraq is suffering a civil war that could harm the whole Middle East. Mr. Mubarak also said he is concerned about the influence of Iran in the Arab world. The Egyptian president spoke on Saturday on Al Arabiya television. Mr. Mubarak said a civil war already has started between Shiite and Sunni Muslims and Kurds. He said the situation would be worse if American-led forces left. Mr. Mubarak also noted that Iran has great influence on Iraqi Shiites. An Israeli missile attack in the Gaza Strip has killed 6 militants connected with the Fatah party of Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas. The Israeli military says the target of the airstrike was a camp used by the Abu Rish brigades, which are linked to Fatah. Local reports say several other people were injured. In other news, Palestinian Prime Minister Ismail Haniyeh has accused the United States and the European Union of trying to harm the Palestinian government. On Friday, American and EU officials suspended nearly $1,000 million in aid to the government. Reports say troops in Nepal have fired on people demonstrating against the rule of King Gyanendra in the town of Pokhara. One protester was killed. The main political parties in Nepal began 4 days of protests on Thursday. On Saturday, the government warned that officers in the capital would shoot anyone who did not observe the curfew. More than 750 people have been arrested since the protests began. The United Nations and several countries, including the United States, have urged the government to release the protesters. You are listening to the news in VOA Special English. Officials in Turkey say a landmine has killed 2 soldiers in the southeastern area of the country. The officials say 2 other members of Turkish security forces were wounded. On Friday, Turkish troops killed 6 members of the banned Kurdistan Workers' Party. That attack happened in Sirnak, near the Iraqi border. The European Union, Turkey, and the United States consider the Kurdistan Workers' Party a terrorist organization. The leaders of opposing groups in Ivory Coast have agreed to begin to disarm. They also say they will identify voters at the same time. The compromise has restarted efforts to move the peace process forward. The Ivorian government and rebels reached the agreement after 2 days of meetings in Abidjan. The President of the Republic of Congo, Denis Sassou Nguesso, helped negotiate the agreement. In space news, 2 astronauts and a cosmonaut have made their return trip to Earth. American Space Station Commander Bill MacArthur and Russian cosmonaut Valery Tokarev left the International Space Station. With them was Brazilian astronaut Marcos Pontes. They were on a Soyuz spaceship that was to re-enter Earth's atmosphere at 23 hours 45 Universal Time. The 3 were expected to land in Kazakhstan. Mr. Pontes became the first Brazilian in space when he arrived at the space station last week. He traveled there with the station's replacement crew. And the famous rock and roll music group, the Rolling Stones, has performed in Shanghai, China. The group played for 2 hours, mainly to foreigners living in China. The Chinese government banned the group from playing 5 of their songs because of the words. Chinese rock and roll singer Kui Jian joined the Rolling Stones for some of the performance. And so, briefly now, here again is the major news of this hour. Iraqi police say at least 6 people have died in a car bombing south of the capital, Baghdad. The Foreign Secretary of India has said relations with the United States could be harmed if Congress does not approve a nuclear agreement with India. And Egyptian President Hosni Mubarak says Iraq is suffering a civil war that could harm the whole Middle East. So ends the news in VOA Special English.